Good evening. You're flying with Pod Squadron podcast. All wings report in. This is Andy, Pod Job, standing by.
This is Tracy, Pod Tracer, standing by.
This is Lexi, Pod May, standing by.
And this is Dayla, Pod Piper, standing by.
All ships to attack formation. Mission objectives to talk about Star Wars in movies, streaming, animation, books, themed experiences, and your art and inspiration from the galaxy far, far away. Or even further far away. Tonight's flight plan includes Ashoka Ep E7. And for all of you out there, all comm channels are open. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Find us on YouTube, like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you know when we have new content. But first, I'll be your squad leader for today. I am Andy Lowe, aka the Chinese Pirate, director, storyteller, puppeteer, performer, and fight choreographer. On my wing is Tracy.
Hi, it's Tracy, hot nerd girl. And yay, Ian being able to make it for the first time.
And on my other wing is Lexi.
Hi guys, Lexi, Feral Geek. Sometimes I post things. It's always vaguely geeky or nerd related. Sometimes it's nature nerdy. Sometimes it's pop culture nerdy. Yeah.
And bringing up the flank is Dayla.
What's up, everybody? I'm Dayla, or Allison Dayla Cruz. I'm a creative host, producer, and a bi-celestial. I love both the Star Wars and the Star Trek.
And of course, we are just one squad in the fleet. We're part of the Geekish Network. That's right here on YouTube and Facebook. Check out all the other shows going on the network. S foils to attack position. We're going in. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right in to Ahsoka episode 7. Of course, tomorrow night is episode 8, the finale. So we do not want to waste any time. Let's jump right into this. We're gonna get right into spoiler talk, I think. So be forewarned if you haven't watched it yet. What the heck, dude? Like, it's tomorrow. Just catch up. So okay, so let's do this. Tracy, would you like to give another shot at a lightning synopsis?
Oh, it's been
so much better than I am.
Well, it's been a few weeks because
Yes.
last week I wasn't here. The week before I cut out, and I think Dela did it. I only heard the tail end of it, but it seemed masterful. And then I missed the week before as well because I was out of town. But let's see if I can do this. Okay.
Okay, lightning synopsis.
All right. So we start on Coruscant because the one senator guy is like super pissed off at Hera, and I'm pretty
Senator
sure
Ziono.
Senator Ziono. I'm pretty sure he's like some kind of plant for the Shadow Council or something, because he just has it like out for Hera and that whole group and pretty much everybody. And he's like, oh no, you're going down. And 3PO comes in and he's like, oh, wait a second, yo, like this was under Leia's instructions, and what do you think about that? What are you gonna do? And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to believe a droid. And Chopper's like, bitch, come at me. And then and then 3PO is like, no, for real, like this is like, you know, she really ordered this. And so they're like, okay, fine, you won the battle, but this is a war. And then we got cut to like Ahsoka is like training with her Anakin videos, which how cute is it that Anakin made her like 20 something videos? It's like, I just, that was like really emotional. I'm loving Anakin more and more because of this show. I feel like I have a new appreciation for him that I didn't even have from like Clone Wars. And then they come out of their Purgle light speed, and there's all these like super like orbital bombs, and the Purgles are like, what the fuck, yo, this isn't cool. And then that I don't even know where Thrawn got all those orbital bombs. Those were like, that was a lot. And I feel like the ships only hold like 6 of those. So where did he get all those? Especially since the stormtrooper armor is all patched up and grimy. Like, where's he been holding those? Anyway, so then Ahsoka and Huyang are hiding in all the Purgle bones because that's like the Purgle graveyard. But the witches of Dathomir are like, oh no, we're gonna like zoom in on your location. And they did. And in the meantime, Sabine is on like finds Ezra, and they're hanging out with these little like Nito critters, which are like the cutest things since Ewoks. And he obviously taught them how to use like a slingshot, because that was like their little like peace-loving weapon of choice. And I also want to know like what's in all the coffins, that it's taking them 3 days to load like 250 coffins. It's really weird. And then Balin is hanging out with Shin, and he's like, no, you go be ambitious. I have my own path to follow. And then he has like super lightsaber fight with Ahsoka, and she breaks out both lightsabers this time. And then she's like, peace. And she takes off with his bat horse dog thing. And then all the stormtroopers come in to back up Shin, and she's like, what up? This fight is over. And then Thrawn calls them all back, and she's like, oh shit, this sucks. And Ezra is using like the Force without any lightsaber, and he's really good at it. He's obviously been honing his skills on this planet, and he even like makes Shin's lightsaber like Force go the other way. And then he's like, I have a feeling I'm gonna go home. But then how are they gonna get home? Is he gonna summon the Purgles again? Are they gonna hitch a ride with Thrawn? It's all kind of up in the air. Oh, and Thrawn's like totally thrown off by the fact that Anakin was Ahsoka's master, and he was like, oh my god, maybe let me think twice about this. But then he's like, okay, we're gonna follow the plan.
Nice.
Is that it?
I think that's it. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
I think you covered most of it. You guys, is there anything else we think we need to fill in? I think we covered it. Okay, cool. Well done. So, that said, feelings about this week's episode. How'd you guys like it?
I can go first. Oh my gosh, I have all the feels. I was super excited. I felt like it was a really great penultimate or second to last episode. I feel like it's helping me to already desire season 2. And I just felt like we got to see Peridia a lot more, and like the Noti, and like what is their community about. And watching the Shin and Balin dynamic, and that getting to see Anakin one more time. I agree with you, Tracy. Like, I like him way better because of this series. I feel like it's a new dude. I feel like all of my old, I hated the prequel self is like, you know what though? Anakin could be all right though. So I continue to be surprised by those feelings. And anytime I can watch Ahsoka train and then watch her battle was super awesome. So I was excited about some of the rematch we got with Balin this episode. There's just so many things to talk about. And we got to see Hera and check in on the, on Ziono, and like get a 3PO and a little, just like all the little Easter eggs we got this episode were super amazing.
So let's start off on the hearing of Hera, or the Hera of hearing. So you had that little theory that you were talking about, Tracy, about Ziono being a sympathizer. So the thing is, remember, we have seen this character before, right? He is actually the father of Kaz Ziono from Star Wars Resistance. That was the very short-lived two season animated series that ran alongside the sequel trilogy about a bunch of pilots, right? So this is the father of that main character, Kaz. And even then, there were some interesting kind of threads where they were kind of teasing, like, he seemed a little shady, right? I kind of props to this actor, because he has all the smarm, like just dripping that smarm really well.
Yeah.
Was that Admiral Akbar sitting next to him?
I don't know if it was meant to be Akbar. I mean, it looked like him. It was he was wearing white. He's
Maybe
Komar, I just like, to have Akbar and not have him talk. Just like, I don't know.
I feel like maybe New Rockstar said it is Admiral Akbar.
Oh, really?
I might have seen that last week.
I mean, you'd almost kind of think
but he didn't talk.
Yeah, like you'd figure Akbar would be, off with Leia somewhere, but who knows?
Yeah. But it's peacetime, right?
There were other Mon Calamaris in there.
True.
He just looked like, I was like,
that looks like Admiral Akbar.
But yeah, so that's an interesting thing. If you recall in Resistance, Ziono, who is the senator representing the Hosnian system, and is like a survivor of the Hosnian Prime getting destroyed by the First Order. It's like, how did he know to not be at Hosnian that time when he's like their representative? Strange. Interesting.
Definitely something sketch about him, as my
Oh,
nieces and nephews would say.
he's got like Imperial Plant or something written all over him, or got business interests wrapped up, or who knows.
Yeah.
He's like the Matt Gaetz of the Senate.
Definitely. Yes, he definitely has I put myself on this committee because I want to make a change.
Yes.
I'm just gonna disagree with what everybody says.
And the actor really is doing a good job. I mean, he's like incredible because it's like serving like Bach Pfeifengessig, like a face in need of a fist or a slap. Like I was just like,
Or-
oh, that guy. Oh, and you see him like he's doing so well at that.
or at least in need of a date with our favorite little murder bot.
Yeah, let
Mhm.
Chopper at him. Just let Chopper at him. Chopper
Yeah.
just wants to talk.
Yeah, great little tiny moment. They didn't have to include that shot, but Carson Teva like holding back Chopper.
Mhm.
Look,
And
all-
Chopper
no
will just blow the
idea.
place down.
Yeah.
Kevin has no idea what a favor
Mhm.
he was done.
For sure.
So-
And I'll
When Carson Teva first walked in, he kind of shook his head at Hera. And what do we think he was implying there? Because obviously 3PO walked in right after that. Was she hoping that Leia was going to come in person? And instead it was, and he was like, no, it's not going to be Leia. And then 3PO walked in.
I don't know. I didn't catch that little head nod. I thought he was just acknowledging, he's like, I'm here. I'm here to back you up.
No, he looked right at her and he was like, and she
No.
kind of went,
yeah, it was very Perry Mason. Like,
Uh,
did you bring the secret file? He was also wearing the crap out of that jacket. I don't know if anybody else wants that jacket, but I hope I can buy that jacket soon. But yeah, no, I agree. I think he was waiting for Leia, and so like Leia's not coming, so for 3PO to show up, and then even 3PO had to be like, I have the data transcript right here. Like
Yeah.
3PO had to have extra credential and have Mothma wave him in. So I thought that was interesting.
that was a fun little Easter egg to get 3PO saying, you don't need to see my identification.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And Hera wasn't wearing her goggles, which was
Out of respect for
Weird.
justice.
I guess so. It's like removing
No
your
goggles.
hat, removing your
Oh,
goggles.
you're
For
not gonna
sure.
wear the goggles inside. No.
For sure.
Which,
Right.
as a former steampunker, I appreciate the goggles, but I don't really understand the point of them because she's not flying.
True, and
in
we've
an
never
open
actually
window.
seen her like ever put the goggles
the
on.
goggles. Yeah.
That said, her head does look kind of weird without the goggles, though, right? I mean, it was kind of like seeing Ahsoka with her. I guess it's not really a hairline, whatever the line is. her Leku line, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. I also want to say that I really appreciated the architecture in that scene, in that room. I was just so fascinated by that room as like a tribunal room and just the architecture of that space. They were on Coruscant, right? So it felt
Mhm.
like a part of Coruscant I had not seen before. Even though I guess her apartment on Mon Mothma's apartment on Coruscant, which we see in Andor,
Oh, right.
felt a little bit like that architecture, but
Yeah,
it just
you're right. It really was reminiscent. It had the arch,
yeah.
lots of light.
Mhm. And there's just the rounded corner. I was really fascinated. I was like, wow, for a Hall of Justice, this has got some smooth angles on it,
So I can't remember. I feel like I saw someone's video that was saying that the design of this room was an homage to another space that was shown in the Clone Wars animated series. Like it was
Oh.
I cannot remember what they said it was. I should have wrote that down, but it was kind of an
Mhm.
interesting thing where they actually tried to, or at least this person thought they were trying to kind of pay homage to
Mhm.
repurposed spaces that were part of the Republic war effort.
Yeah.
That are
Mhm.
Like
that
it
are
was actually like the Republic DMV that they
yeah, or something like
repurposed.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Well, the symbol that's on it is the Coruscant Guard.
that's what it was. Right. It was
Oh.
the Coruscant Guard, who are basically like all the clones that were assigned to be basically the local police on Coruscant.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah. And they just sort of like hung their new little like New Republic flag over. It's like this big symbol, and then it's like, we'll just hang our flag here.
Yeah. Which is of course is like interesting little design choices to do some like larger world building of them. Like you get that sense that this government has still not quite like gelled yet. They're still figuring out how to do
Figure
this.
this shit out.
Mhm. Mhm. For sure. And it explains also like why Mon Mothma is trying to, just watching her politic in a way where she's
Yeah.
like not so as covert as she had to be, and when we just saw her in Andor,
Yeah.
or when we see her in other contexts. So to kind of watch her like be able to be out and be herself, but then still have to like roll up to Hera and be like, Hera, General Syndulla, hey girl, I want to chat with you. Like, you got lucky, but like watch out, because these fools are like ruthless.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to witness.
Well, and also, right, I mean, I'd say this is a recurring theme here, where that seeing how difficult it is for her, given the context of the galaxy of an authoritarian regime, and her trying to keep everyone feeling invested and like represented, but the weaknesses of the bureaucracy, right, where how that seems to be what is making the Republic weak, and not weak, but just not as quick to react, right?
Politics. I do appreciate 3PO being like, how rude.
Let's see here. Okay. Well, I don't know what this refers to. What is who put down lightsaber collection?
Wasn't me.
In the ideas, things to discuss.
Oh, that was me. Did you guys notice she had like a bunch of lightsabers when she put away the recordings?
That's her Jedi training cabinet.
Okay, so this is a Jedi.
Yeah, with all
cabinet.
the training orbs and all that,
Okay.
the training
Right.
spheres.
Yeah. And the whole
And there's a
idea of the
helmet, there's
recording
a
is
blaster
really
helmet.
cool.
And I was rewatching a little bit of Rebels, and I realized like Ezra must have had access to them too, because they have a conversation in a Rebels episode, I think, about
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
him. She shared it with him so that he could expand his training as well.
It does kind of make you wonder, did she share any of this with Luke? Like,
Probably. I don't think so.
it's like,
Not that I can think
it's
of.
kind of rude if she did it.
Well, and I think because Luke has a very definite idea of who. I mean, obviously he grew up not knowing who his father was, and by the time he found out, it was he felt enormous hatred, and then at the end there with when he took Vader's helmet off and revealed Anakin again, he feels empathy for him and ends up giving him like a proper cremation burial. I don't know if she feels like it would do more harm than good to show him, or if for her Anakin is something she almost wants to keep to herself. And I think one of the reasons why I'm really starting to appreciate Anakin in this is because we know he killed all the younglings. We know he did killed all these people across the galaxy. We know he's the big baddie. But we also now get a feel for how he at least loved one person in this galaxy.
Right.
And he loved her so much that he was willing to create these videos for her for when if he was ever gone. And I don't know what it is about that, because I'm wrestling with it, because killed all these people, made sure one person lived, killed all these people, made sure one person was cared for. But I don't know, there's just something about the way that he looks at her in her visions. And in a couple of weeks ago, like, we don't know if that's what she's seeing in her head, but in this, it's an actual recording of him, and he's still looking at her that same way. Like, he obviously cares so much about her and her well-being.
Yeah.
And it gives him a little humanity, I guess, maybe.
Totally.
He's not all bad.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it makes him more of a cautionary tale than an evil entity, where you can be the most caring, compassionate mentor, big brother, love interest in the world, and if you don't know how to let go or have some morals, then you're going to lose it all.
I mean, we have talked about this before, this interesting kind of contrast between Ahsoka and Anakin. Both of them very brash, both of them very untraditional Jedis, right? Um, but to a certain degree, it's that Anakin never had the real, like, true emotional support to learn how to self-regulate. But in turn, he was able to offer that to Ahsoka, right? That ultimately Ahsoka had the mentor in Anakin that Anakin never really got from Obi-Wan, because
Well, and wasn't she given to him as a Padawan to help temper him?
yeah, which of course is, like, the really interesting, depending on how you look at, fatal mistake of Yoda, right?
Well, and I mean, as we're talking about this, I realized I was like, but part of the thing that I now understand about Anakin is he did have this deep capacity for love. He loved Padme and he loved Ahsoka.
That's true.
And when he made these videos for Ahsoka, he had not yet crossed over, right? So it shows us his deep capacity for care, for learning, and also like his instinct to be not selfish, but to be fatherly or brotherly or masterly, right?
Yeah.
And to offer a training. And so the whole question of if Ahsoka had also, like, Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order is one of the dominoes that fell for Anakin.
Seeing how
right,
they
yeah,
treated
yeah.
her, seeing how they
So if
treated her.
Exactly. So if she had not left, none of us know what would have really happened and how. I was watching something else recently, a documentary about figure skaters in Australia, and just how the more isolated people become, the more difficult it is for them to connect to the outer world, right? And to find an alternate voice to whatever negativity is spinning in their mental space. So Anakin lost his deep connection to his Padawan, which gave him purpose in the Force. He's worried about his wife dying or his love dying in the middle of giving birth to his children or his child. And so part of me is like, okay, I see the fall a little bit easier now. It helps me understand. It doesn't make me feel happy. And then, like you said, Tracy, it doesn't make me feel happy that he killed younglings. But it lets me at least be like, the person who killed younglings was far beyond the person who made her these tapes.
It's complicated.
Facebook status. It's complicated. Well, and that's interesting. You frame that. I love that, actually, and it actually very much fits in with the ongoing, you could say, overarching theme that they've been coming back to in the whole series of this whole master and apprentice relationship, right? All of Hu Yang's urging that you are stronger together, or that is your Padawan's job to to keep you grounded, or to keep you focused on the moment, or it's and for that matter, let's use that to transition to Balin and Shin, right? So first of all, we're getting so many interesting interactions, or rather, last week we got so many interesting interactions with Balin and Shin, as Balin continues to kind of like vent a little bit, right? We were hearing a little bit more about his disappointment. Again, he's using this terminology of how conflict seems to be inevitable to him. And then we
Waxes poetic.
He does. And here we see him basically make allies with the Marauders, the Red Marauder guys, and basically says, okay, go attack the crab people, and then you can ingratiate yourself with the Empire and take your place amongst it, because I know you're ambitious, but I'm not going to go do that. I have my own destiny. So my question is, do you think he genuinely intended for her to leave, or do you think he knew that Thrawn would basically stab them in the back?
I think he's realizing that her looks at him have become more and more questioning him
Right.
and less following his lead. And he has recognized in her that she's ready to branch out on her own, and they are kind of different beasts. Like this whole process and having to, what he thinks he's killed Ahsoka, right? And he says it's a pity because there's so few Jedi left. Whereas I don't think that Shin would have even thought twice about killing Ahsoka. And I feel like he's got enough of that old guard in him that he recognizes that it's time for her to move past him and follow her own path. And he, like, I don't know if he feels like he needs to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, fade into the background, maybe?
Well, so I mean, so you think he was being genuine there then?
I don't think he was thinking about Thrawn in that moment. I think he was purely thinking about Shin in that moment.
So I agree with that. I have the suspicion that so I also think that he was thinking, okay, her loyalty is waning. She's starting to question his motives. And ultimately, right, we know that he comes from this place of deep cynicism, right? Like ultimately he, as a character and as an overarching symbolic gesture in the story, he is the final destination of Ahsoka if she continued down her same path, right? Of if Ahsoka went full cynic, she becomes Balin. So there's a part of me that kind of feels like maybe he knew that Thrawn did not trust him. I mean, he's obviously very intuitive. He's been reading people's minds left and right. So, like, I kind of felt like this is how he brings Shin Hati back to him, is that ultimately she has to get burned for herself on her own for her to come back to him. He's already said, that you're more than just a Boken Jedi, right? I've trained you to be more than that. So he has plans for her. I don't know if it's necessarily for her best interest or not, but
I mean, he's even light side Jedi put their apprentices through some pretty rough shit. So
yeah.
It could be, like one of those Spartan trial kind of things where it's like, well, if the kid dies, then they weren't fit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my suspicion anyways. I could be wrong.
For sure.
Could it also?
And he says to her when he leaves, he's like, "Oh, go ahead, Benny."
Yeah, just really quickly. Could it also be that he's willing to sacrifice everything, even his Padawan, for this path, this thing that he's looking for, that he's being called towards?
That could be a definite element of it, paired with him going, well, I mean, if my apprentice can't survive it anyway, then
like that.
Do we know anything about his
that goal, that finding that thing is like that's paramount to him, right? Everything else is just in the way.
We don't know what happened to him after Order 66 and before Ahsoka, right? We don't know if he went out and had some kind of different master. That I know I saw a theory that the stone around his waist was his previous Kyber crystal, and that Shin had the pieces of it in her hair. But we don't know what happened to cause him to go from that green Kyber crystal to the orange one, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've been super cryptic.
Okay. I feel like that will give us a lot of insight. I don't know if they'll talk about that in the last episode, but I feel like that would fill us in on his mentality when it comes to Shin.
I gotta say, I am like a little bit worried that like they've basically just been including all these scenes because they know he passed away and they just want to include all his amazing acting work. because like that's like that would be like tragic to me if they had planned this to be a 2-season arc and like it won't pay off until the next season. But like, yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like something's coming. Like they've got to pay off a chunk of this tomorrow night. I don't know.
For sure. And I would just go ahead, Lexi.
Oh no, that's it. I was just like, yeah, they need to address it. Just should be addressed by the end of the season, even if not wrapped up, addressed.
It did make me, I feel, I can't remember exactly what he says to Shin before they part, but he's like, just remember, just because you're running to victory doesn't mean it's gonna happen or something like that, right?
Right.
And so I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I feel like there was a moment at the end of the episode once, Ahsoka pops down and they're like the magical trio. And Shin doesn't leave when all the night troopers leave. She kind of stands there for a second. And Ahsoka looks at her and she's like, I can help you.
Yeah.
And so I believe that Balin did not know Ahsoka was still alive based on his reaction when he sees Ahsoka land on the planet for the first time. I also love that Ahsoka got to say to him, he's like, you can't beat me. And I love that Ahsoka just joyfully is like, I don't have to.
Yeah.
And so it's like, even where she was in the episode before she fell into the world between worlds to now, like she is the white, Ahsoka the white, like she's moved on.
Yeah. And then
and
she
I was
grabs his ride.
For sure. She grabs his ride, and then maybe she is there. Maybe Balin put Shin on a path he did not really understand for her to be able to say, my master abandoned me, and here is a potential new, like, if Shin really wants to be a Jedi, she now has a Jedi to train with, if she were to whatever. So I had that moment of like extrapolating based on all the alls. So yeah, but there's also so much.
This is her
Ezra's
crossroads, right?
Yeah.
Where she has to choose which path.
I mean, knowing that this is all headed towards an adaptation of Heir to the Empire, I mean, she could easily kind of fit into the Mara Jade path, right? Of the formerly apprentice to a dark force user who is kind of lacking purpose and has to refine their purpose.
Sure.
I mean, that would kind of reflect her arc in the EU books. So
Yeah.
it would be true to that arc while still having its own story.
But yeah, I mean, it was just so interesting to me to kind of just see her standing there dumbfounded as all of the night troopers left her.
Yeah.
And she's just like,
Right? But she wouldn't know their signal. I was like,
Right.
oh, that's the signal they all trained to. She doesn't
Yeah.
know that signal. She
Yeah.
just got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that record scratch.
Uh-huh.
Wondering.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, yeah,
Could
because I think like, yeah, I mean, ultimately her only thing to do now is to basically go try and find Balin again, right? And that's kind of like why I'm like, I kind of feel like he did this intentionally, right? This because now she feels burned. Now she can be as bitter as him, right?
Right.
But-
You don't think she's gonna, go back to the castle? Or to
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
so.
she's headed. I think she's headed to Thrawn.
I don't think so because I mean, ultimately they just ditched her. She knows that she doesn't have a future there because they're not gonna look out for
But
her.
how else is she gonna get home?
I think she's gonna have to go back to her master, right? Because she doesn't like. At least she knows Balin cares for her. She thinks, right? But
Her
sh-
best
but
shot.
but I mean, if Thrawn is willing to just ditch her, and like then why would she follow them, right?
For sure. I posed it to our friends in the chat. Like, what do you think? Is she gonna go back to the Night Sisters castle? Is she gonna go try to find Balin? Is she just gonna go off on her own and
Yeah.
become her own version of Obi-Wan in the desert?
Yeah,
Or
but
go
like,
hide
we
somewhere
also
and
know-
then find Ahsoka again. and try
we
and
also
leave
know
her
she
Ahsoka.
doesn't like the witches. She's like every time she's like more witches. What the hell's with the witches? up
Can I
to
ask us about the whole Ezra Sabine?
Yeah.
Like there was
Let's
a
get
lot of
into that.
fighting in this episode, and I'm just curious, like people's thoughts around how did you feel about Ezra not taking the lightsaber and him, he basically is like, I am one with the force is one with me.
Yeah.
Right? And he gave us instead, the force is my ally. Here I go.
I thought it made sense. Ezra's always been really adaptable. And if you think about the amount of time that he spent on the streets being Space Aladdin without a lightsaber versus the very short amount of time that he trained with one, and now like 10 plus years without one. Yeah, he's probably like, you know what? You hold on to that. This is what I'm familiar with.
It's more of a defensive than an offensive.
Yeah.
So that
fighting
was
style.
my curiosity, actually, right? Because ultimately, though, he is basically using the force for attack because he is doing force kicks and force pushes, as opposed to Yoda's whole statement of the force should be used for knowledge and defense, never attack, right? So, like, I mean, there's a technicality in terms of defense.
Well,
but...
I mean that doesn't bother me in the slightest, because if he was going to be like allied with any part of the force, that's the Bendu, the shadow, the neutral. So if that's not something that Kanan ever probably really taught him, and it makes sense because Kanan was a Padawan on the run,
right?
And the Bendu contacted him as well. So like that's like they are like the Shadow Jedi, not canon, but like the Shadow Jedi, the neutral force users.
I mean, I thought it was cool. I just kept thinking to myself, oh, it's like John Wick Jedi.
Yeah.
Between the beard and all the, and grabbing the blaster and all the precision, but it was like, there's some people also saying that his shirt might be made of Stormtrooper dog tags, which I don't think has been confirmed, but it's like, that's pretty dark, right?
Yeah, that's a
if
lot.
That's true.
If it's true, that's a lot of troopers. Kind of like Match Chopper's kill count. I don't know.
Good question. Also, what did you guys think about the interactions between him and Sabine? Right, we see a lot of Sabine kind of dodging questions, and Ezra not really pushing.
I don't think he's oblivious.
Yeah.
He's always been perceptive. He's force sensitive, so he can probably tell when someone's a little off, and because especially he's kind of a little bit more empathetic. And then you see some evidence that he has matured, even though he's still wisecracking and thinks on his feet and will try to talk themselves out of situation. Would rather would rather talk himself out of situation. Yeah, okay. Don't distract. But yeah, so he's not like the impulsive, hot-headed teenager anymore. And I think I think he knows she's holding back.
Mm-hmm.
He knows she's holding back, and I think he's being a little bit more of a Jedi about it.
I think he also is just overly hopeful about how she got there. I think it's a little bit of an ignorance is bliss type of situation.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't want to question it too hard either,
Yeah.
Well, and he even says like, hey, I sacrificed to get Thrawn and it worked, right? It worked, right? And she's like, awkward.
Yeah. Well, it did work until I came. Yeah. So I mean, there's layers. I definitely think there's layers to it. I mean, like well-written character, there's a lot of layered motivations, and I think that's one of them. Where he doesn't want to look the gift horse in the mouth. He really, really doesn't want to look the gift horse in the mouth. And he's also sensing, all right, there's more to this, but it can't be that bad, can it? We'll figure it out, right? Right? We always figure it out.
So
All I know is I wouldn't say no tea to grown up Ezra.
hi, hello.
Yeah.
Hey, how
I'm
you
like,
doing?
oh, you're not a teenager anymore. You're not a teenager anymore.
Digging
Are-
the beard.
Are we shipping yet? Are we like?
Are we shipping me and Ezra? Sure.
Mhm.
Well, see, I was gonna say Sarezra, but if it's if it's Trezra,
I feel like they're more brother and sister than romantic, personally.
But
But
Star Wars will turn a brother and sister on it.
this is true. This is true. Touche.
that's not no. Now that you mention it,
Like,
yes.
I mean, I guess that's actually more Game of Thrones, but you know, in terms of that. But yeah, I mean, I will say I felt like when it gets to it's complicated, I just felt like the repetition of that phrase also reminded me of like all the ways in which there's so much history between them that we know about in Rebels that it just feels like part of me is just like, all right, I'm accepting like the difference between the greeting between Sabine and Ezra versus Ahsoka and Ezra. Did you guys talk
Right.
about that? Like
We didn't yet. I was
to
about to get to
me,
that actually.
Yeah.
right?
different, you know?
Yeah.
That
yeah.
feels like older sister. Ha ha ha.
Well,
Mhm.
and yeah, right. Like she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna give you a big hug right now.
Mhm.
Yay! Look at this reunion. And yeah, you definitely have that like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna punch you in the shoulder.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, hey, I'm, you know, it's cool. Yeah, I'm
Does
glad
it-
to see you.
Well, like they
Sure.
had.
you grew a beard.
Mhm. Mhm. For sure. And
Go ahead.
it's the happiest I feel like I've seen Ahsoka all season.
Yeah, you can
Was
see.
her that split second him and the face thing. I was just, oh wow. And then I was just like, that compared to she and Sabine just kind of go,
Mhm.
hey, hey.
Yeah,
And Sabine does all the all the monologue with her eyes and her eyebrows, like, oh, I have so many things to tell you, and that you were dead, and I'm so happy you're here, and oh, I'm so conflicted. And look, it's Ezra. Okay, that's great, you know.
so that's actually probably the scene I'm most looking forward to, or I'm hoping we get them right. Is well, I think it's got to happen, right? Where ultimately we have to have Sabine's reckoning with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka making her apologies.
And Ezra.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, and Ezra, but I think like knowing that they're really playing up this master apprentice thing, right? And they've established that okay, Ahsoka and Sabine have enough connection that they can force Skype each other, right? So like so
Tracy,
For
he's-
Skype.
Ezra is supposed to be in his early 30s, so it's not creepy.
yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Wasn't she
It's not
supposed to be
crazy.
older than him originally?
She's 50. She's 50 right now. Ahsoka. Are we talking about Sabine or Ahsoka?
Oh no, Sabine.
Sabine.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't-
She's like 5 years older, maybe.
She's totally older than him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But when you get to a
Totally
certain
older than
age,
him.
that doesn't matter so
It
much.
doesn't matter.
right?
Age ain't
Yeah.
nothing but a number after a certain age.
Because yeah, the whole first season of Rebels, it was like him going, haha, yeah, I'm gonna flirt with you, you know, yeah, right,
And when he
And
meets
she's
her
like-
parents, for sure.
yeah.
I'm with
Um,
her. I mean, I'm not with her, but I'm with her. She's my friend.
But yeah, you know, I mean, I'm looking forward to kind of watching how Ahsoka, you know, like they had that little moment with her and Hu Yang where she's like, I didn't have time to teach her how to make the right choice, right? So like that conversation and that lesson and her own reckoning with, you know, how I've not been living up to you being your master either, right? That's coming. And that's
She
going to
just
be
needs to record like 20 something videos.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Ian wants to know what are our predictions for the finale.
Who wants to go first? You know, I don't know if I have predictions so much as I have wish lists.
Mm.
You know, because that's one thing I will say about this episode, I was a little bit disappointed that there are still so many floating mystery boxes this late in the game. I was kind of hoping like some things would get resolved, right? Because there's still so much that either we don't know or we know has to happen, but like there's only a 45 minutes to do all.
Now, how do you address all that and
Yeah.
not make it feel rushed or
I'll make one prediction. I think Balin's gonna find what he's looking for.
U2 style.
I just wanted to use that line, but no.
He's going to Joshua Tree.
Yeah, I do think that it'll be one of those like he opens up a cave and then that person or thing comes out and then they cut. Like that's the end of it. Like they're gonna just leave it really vague. Like, but he's gonna find this being or whatever that he's looking for.
He's gonna walk into the light.
Yeah, and then it's just gonna be like they're gonna cut there. That's gonna be like they're gonna leave that aspect like hanging.
Or his master will be a force ghost and like guide him into the light.
Yeah, something. But I don't think they're gonna go fully into it. It'll just be like he finds it and then that's it. That's one
a
thing I think.
teaser?
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be trampled to death by his bat dog horse.
So that said, though, Rodney, I mean, would you be okay if they really did not script to resolve his arc? Would you be okay if they recast him to continue the arc in another season?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and like you said, there's been a lot of speculation on Star Wars Reddit and other places where they're talking about they're fan casting a recast because, like us, like you said, like there's just so much more that his character seems to be given, right? Like there's more.
A lot more layers to that onion.
Yeah, there's more layers. There's more. Like he can't just be like he finds the thing, unlocks whatever it is, then he dies. Like clearly they're writing him for like more than 2 or 3 seasons, right?
I don't
And
know
his
necessarily, though.
And his character's like so fascinating too, right? Like his character's so fascinating. So I think I'm okay with them recasting it, but at the same time, it's like he's such a great actor.
Yeah.
It would be tough too.
So
Are there definitely more seasons coming?
They said up to 4.
What'd they say?
There's
Up to 4, right?
Yeah, there's been
Okay.
speculations that there's like at least 4 seasons of Ahsoka.
But I mean, it's a big question, right? Because the Heir to the Empire movie is on a it is set for a specific date. So the idea would be that any of these seasons would have to fit in before that, right? I don't know if there's enough time for 4 seasons. I mean, particularly now after the delay of strikes too. Right?
For sure. And we're not back yet, for sure. You know, all the way.
I still feel like, what they've set up here is that Balin is kind of the dark mirror for Ahsoka for this season, right? So if her arc for the season is, her own reckoning, this last confrontation, or if there is a last confrontation, right, that has to be the resolve of you took the wrong path and I took the right path, right? And this is how your path is flawed. That's like what I'm hoping happens. I wonder if there's enough time. I know that also on social media, Diana Innocento has teased a major fight between Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka. So it's like that's gotta. I mean, there's just so much that has to happen in this episode.
Let me whip out my other Beskar spear.
For sure. For sure. Well, knowing that Diana Leon Santo has teased a major fight, it makes me have plot armor worry about Morgan Elsbeth and makes me wonder if in this rematch Morgan dies.
Yeah.
Because now we've gotten to Thrawn. Like, was her whole purpose to get us to Thrawn and not Thrawn? And now that we've met Thrawn, he's got what he needs. Everybody at a tactile level, at a tactitional level is expendable to him if he doesn't
Right.
need them.
That would be
So-
a shame though, because her character's so great.
For sure. But if, as Rodney says, they're building this arc to give Balin, like, I feel like, yeah. So I don't want that to happen. I do not want that to happen. My wish list is that we get to hear a little bit more from Ezra about how he survived, or like, you know, I want to know what he was doing these last 10 years, 9 years. And I also don't know if we're going to be able to, like, is the end of the season the Eye of Sion jumping back to the galaxy, you know, far, far away from for Peridia? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they're ready to jump back yet. So
I just want to know
I-
what's in all
yeah.
those coffins.
yeah.
See, now that's something where I feel like that's gonna be like the after credits teaser, right? Like that's like, you know, we've resolved whatever story that we've resolved for this season. They left a couple of hanging threads, and they make no mention of the coffins. And then after the credits roll, you see the coffins, and that's when like the Nazi symbol burns, right?
Mm-hmm.
to make the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark reference, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned the mystery boxes. I pictured Mario hitting a question mark box, and is it going to be a mushroom? Or are they going to take a Purgle home? Is it going to be a star? Are they going to take
I wanna
catch a
take a
ride?
Purgle
Is it
home.
going to be coins? You know, like what's it going to be?
I mean, I'm also still really hoping we get a nice big space battle, because I really want to see. I think it would be a big mistake if we don't see Thrawn beat the crap out of you know, those three big you know, New Republic ships, right? I want to see
But how
him.
can they get there?
Well, they still have the Eye of Sight, right? I mean, ultimately, he has to dock
Sending him
his.
back.
He's got to dock his the Chimera onto the Eye of Sion. The Eye of Sion's got to take it back to the main galaxy, and then, you know, like the you know, Hera convinces them to bring the fleet back out there. They've got three big shiny new ships, and they're like, okay, Hera, show it. Like, we don't see anything. You're being dumb. Siono's gonna, like, you know, tell on you. And then suddenly the Chimera shows up, and they're like, what the hell? Well, that thing's beat
Puts her
up.
goggles down.
You know, that thing's beat up, and there's no way it can beat three brand new, you know, Republic cruisers. And then he just beats the crap out of them, and they're like, what the hell?
Night Sister magic. That's how he's
Right.
gonna beat them.
Oh yeah, maybe the coffins are actually photon torpedoes.
Or maybe that's where Khan's genetically crude, or right?
Sure. I love it. I also wonder, I mean, just for a fun wish list, I was like, well, what if Shin turns to the light side and then she wears the Inquisitor helmet in the intro that we've seen, and she's the blue and Sabine's the red.
That is interesting. Wait, Sabine's the red. You think Sabine might take a dark turn?
She's already taken a dark turn when she gave the map to Balin.
Oh, that's
No.
I think when
As
she
Thrawn
gave,
pointed out, she was willing to sacrifice her whole galaxy for one person, which guess who else did that? Anakin.
You know, and then there's still Balin's line of I think she could be useful.
Maybe Ezra will give birth to twins and then die.
Oh God. Okay, here I got something to say. Freaking Ezra, do not say, "Hey, I guess I'm gonna make it home after all." Dude, what are you doing?
they're not gonna bring him
true.
back just to kill him in 2 episodes.
They
Like,
better not. Oh my God. But it's like
fandom would revolt.
But that
Yeah,
was
no.
like, that's like, they gave him that line. I'm like, oh God, you just Joss Whedoned me. God damn it.
For sure.
Or he'll like go blind like Kanan or lose a hand like a Skywalker.
Seriously, it's like, what are you thinking?
Wow.
Well, now you fucked it. Why'd you
Yeah. No leaf on the wind. No leaf on the wind.
For sure. Yeah, I'm so excited to see how they end this season. And I agree, Andy. I'm curious if Ray Stevens passed during the editing process or if they had
Yeah.
already finished all of the arc, you know, like just learning more about that.
And I really hope they did, right? Because I mean I think that would be, he's done such amazing work, right? I mean,
Mhm.
the nuance and like even like just the moment where he finishes the fight with Ahsoka and he's beating Ahsoka, you know, runs off, and he has a moment where he's like, you can see him like he's got the intensity, he's angry, and then he's like takes a couple of breaths and is like, oh yeah, all right, cool.
Like in a way, he's glad that she got away.
Like
Mhm.
glad, but also it's like he's like there's still like he's resigned to things, right? I mean, it's still like you can just see the look of inevitable on every action that he did, right? Where he's just kind of like the cynicism, the bitterness, but the, you know, the resolute belief is still there, right?
And
Kinda-
maybe he's
kinda
had a
nihilistic,
premonition.
almost.
Maybe he's had a premonition of his own death.
Yeah.
Mm. Or that he knows Ahsoka, he's gonna meet the Mortis gods, and he doesn't know that Ahsoka has the daughter. I don't know.
Mm.
Just to throw some Mortis gods back in there.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's the son who's calling to him, right? Maybe it's the son needs a vessel.
Ooh, Or is the father calling to him to
Yes,
restore
the-
balance to the Force?
Well, the fathers should be dead, right?
Dead? The father's
yeah.
dead. Okay.
Before,
Um,
before
Oh,
we head-
because Anakin was supposed to balance. Okay.
yeah.
but before we head over to crosstalk, it would be kind of interesting if they did have it be the son that was calling to him, because then if he becomes the incarnation of the son, that would allow them to switch actors.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Doctor Who that shit.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it is interesting, right? Because ultimately, I mean, it's still the you know, the Chekhov's gun of naming them, you know, Skull and Hati, right?
Mhm.
Of they are supposed to be, you know, arbiters, or not arbiters, but like you know, they are
The
manifestations
The catalyst of Ragnarok.
of Ragnarok, of the thank you, the catalyst.
Mhm.
They're basically like Zool and
Oh,
The key master.
yeah, the Keymaster and the
Key
Gatekeeper,
Master.
right?
There is no Dana. There is no Sabine. Only Zul.
Okay, so that is our show for this week. The last episode is tomorrow, so everyone tune in, and we're all gonna lose our minds. But for now, we have the gang from Geek Beast coming on. We have Chuck.
What up? What up?
Is Chuck with us?
Chuck. Johnny.
Gang from Geek Beast coming on. We have Chuck.
What up? What up?
Chuck
Well,
looking very
we have-
dapper in
we have-
his
We have Johnny.
picture.
And Chuck. There we go. Oh wait, we lost. He's coming-
Hey.
What's going on,
Gentlemen.
everybody?
Dapper.
Hey.
How you guys doing?
Good. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing all right. We and heavily anticipating
What's
tomorrow's
going on, everybody?
episode.
So,
Hey.
are we
How you
gonna?
guys doing?
We got an echo.
Good. How
going
y'all
here?
doing tonight?
Oh, that's me.
All
That's
right.
me.
We
So, tomorrow, well, Binge Worthy is going on Tuesday, tomorrow, a day early. So we are extending an invitation for the Pod Squadron cast to join us tomorrow as we talk about the final. Well, we do the entire season. So the last episode is going to drop tomorrow, and we're going on at 11 o'clock Pacific time, or 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 11 o'clock Eastern, or 8 o'clock Pacific. And we are extending an invitation for you guys to join us if you would like to join in on the conversation.
do a little raw react there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something completely different when you started saying raw.
Oh Lord.
My
Oh
poor
my
brain.
gosh.
My poor brain.
I
Yeah,
cannot wait.
So yeah, if you guys want to join us, please feel free to join in.
Yeah, I will try. We'll see. We'll see if I can if I'm working tomorrow night or not. But yeah,
Mhm.
We'd love to hear your commentary.
indeed, I would love to hear because have you guys actually started yet, or are you binging tomorrow?
I'm caught up. I'm on
You're
episode.
caught
I'm
up.
caught up too.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it tomorrow. So
Mhm.
we have to be caught up today.
Right on.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you
love
guys have
that.
any predictions or wish lists for tomorrow night? Or do you want to hold all judgment until after tomorrow
I
night?
think it's best we hold all judgment.
Okay.
I have some things to say.
Mhm.
Balin dies. Thrawn
Uh-huh.
gets away.
Ooh.
Wait,
Okay.
Balin dies and who gets away? Shin?
Thrawn.
Ron gets away.
Oh, yeah.
Shin also gets
Thrawn, yeah.
away. He's also
Yeah.
she's gonna become Thrawn's right hand.
Mhm.
Oh.
Because Morgan Elsbeth is gonna die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I can see that.
I'm
Darn it.
surprised the mothers
Shall
haven't killed her
see.
yet.
Mhm.
I mean, that would be interesting if Morgan Elsbeth takes on Shin. Right? If she goes Night Sister path.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, and that would be interesting actually, because then it would allow us a character from which to learn more about the Night Sisters, the Sith
Yes.
witches, right? Because then it'd be like an immersion character of like, okay, now
And
we
I'm
can
happy the
understand more
Night
about.
Sisters are back, right? I thought we were done with them, and now we get them back. In
Yeah.
this series. That was kind
They
of cool.
just killed them all,
Bring
and he brought
back.
them back. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
and we know, like, you know, that was a whole plot point where they were trying to not resurrect, I guess, necromance all the dead Night Sisters, right? In Rebels too.
Mhm.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
what's in the
Ventress wanted to,
coffins.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Ventress went from the other galaxy.
Yeah.
Shout out to from Ventress when Anakin was talking about the formidable opponents.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Got a shout out to Ventress and some things. So I
Right.
thought
Right, yeah.
that was cool. That was cool.
Ventress.
I was like, yeah, Ventress is like my favorite character. She's like,
love
I did feel like we needed a series from her.
You know,
so bad.
I mean, honestly, yeah, I think there's so much. I haven't read the books, but I've heard so much
I
about
read the book.
the stories with
Her
Ventress
and Boss
and-
have a great.
yeah, and Quinlan Voss.
Yeah, I read
Yeah.
that one.
That's a good book.
It's a great book.
Yeah. That's the book they would have to make.
Which book?
Rumor was they were talking Quinlan Voss and Quinlan Voss and
Oh.
Ventress, their relationship.
Mhm.
I mean, they keep teasing Quinlan. I mean, even in Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
looks at the wall. It's like Quinlan was here. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to know how he dies.
yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
We still don't know.
It's hard to kill. He'll be
He
hard
could
to
be out there, right?
Yeah, he could still
It's
be
like
out.
Rambo out there just hiding around in different places. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just saw Rambo today, and I was like, oh.
You know, he has the ability to grab things and know the history of them. So I can't imagine the Inquisitors catching him. And plus, he
Mhm.
can
So
lean
many
into the dark side.
possibilities.
Yeah.
Mhm. So fun.
Let's see here. Here's another question. So, of course, we know that you know, in recent seasons of The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, they have very much advanced their deep fake technology. Let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we might have an original trilogy cameo tomorrow night?
If we do, it's going to be Leia. It has to be.
I would
I
have.
mean,
They've hinted
gonna be
at her
Luke.
so many times.
We have Luke technically, right?
Technically have Luke.
Yeah, but they haven't hinted at Luke. They've hinted at Leia.
They have
A
hinted at Leia.
bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It'd be nice to have Leia.
I still like am imagining, you know, like the scene of Ahsoka having like come to terms with her stuff, and she's now got a better relationship with her Padawan, and she goes to Luke and says, "Hey, I got these 20 recordings. You should have this."
Hmm. But she has to get back to the Galaxy first.
I mean, she does, yeah.
They had to do that first. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think she leaves this other galaxy.
Oh, you think they're going to be stuck?
I think Ahsoka stays. I think Sabine and Ezra leave. They sneak onto the ship.
Oh, interesting.
I
That would
read
be.
something.
Ahsoka stays and kills Balin.
I read something. They said in the last 3 that came out, when Palpatine is referring to the galaxy far beyond their realm.
Wait, are you saying you're saying Exegol is in the other galaxy?
There's been some rumors about that. And so if Ahsoka did stay, right, and it's a galaxy far beyond, maybe that is tying into the plot point. I don't know. It's a lot of internet chat that refers to galaxy. Palpatine's giving his speech about galaxies far away, and perhaps that's where this fits into that story.
I think Balin gets to the point where he can reset everything, destroy all the galaxies. Because I think that's what he wants to do. Is saying, I think so. I think the Jedi Temple failed him, and he sees the failure in all of this Force stuff, everything, and he's like, I can eliminate it all. I can end it all. I can Thanos it.
Right.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, I'm saying I can do my own Snapchat.
Yeah, no, I actually I'm thinking that too. I think
talking about that.
I think like Balin thinks he can basically destroy the Force or something like that, right? Destroy the
Force. Get rid of all.
Because I mean, I'm still of the mind
Force is in everything.
Yeah,
I don't think. Well, okay, but let's say he's able to like kill off midichlorians and like cut off virginces, right? Because that was the whole thing of in Force Awakens. Well, okay, first of all, the Force has to go to sleep for it to awaken later, right? So if it's maybe that's the thing of he cuts off new virginces so that when Rey is like the first new virgins in the Force.
Keep thinking you're saying virgin.
Virgin.
Then that's gonna make me go down a whole rabbit hole because I'm not buying the Force is cut off. I'm not buying people disconnect.
Me either,
Force.
Johnny.
I'm just like, no, it's everywhere. Like it's
I think you can kill it though.
We breathe it and go into it. Like, no,
I think you can kill it. I think you can kill it.
I don't think you can.
You go to the source of the Force. I mean,
how do you know what the source of the Force is?
The witches are right now.
Yeah. That was a Clone Wars season 6 thing where Yoda goes and meets the eight Force spirits or whatever like that.
Or maybe not kill the Force, but like this dimension's access to it.
Yeah.
Cut us off from the Force.
And Balin and Ahsoka have it out, and she kills him and stays. And she tells Ezra Sabine, "Get on that ship," and I got this guy. She kills him and stays. And that actually fixes Ahsoka. Now we know why she's not in the other movies.
Right. Yeah. I think it's possible Ahsoka stays.
And she has the light source of the Force in her. So she can live forever. We don't know.
Well, and isn't that what happened? Is that she was stuck in the world between worlds for a while, like after.
I don't know if after is the world, but she was there, right? And she
right.
For a while, right.
Right.
How did she even get out? We never get an explanation.
When she was fighting Vader and Ezra pulled her out. That one.
She into the world between worlds,
so and she never leaves.
Well, no, she goes back out. So it's implied that because there's like. In the original episode where she quote unquote dies, you can see like a very faint shadow of her walking out of the ruins of the temple. And later on, it's like confirmed that she's like, I have to go back to my time. So she, in theory, goes back to the same portal that Ezra pulled her out of, and basically appears back. And so she just lays low for
until this is the finale of Rebels.
Yeah, basically.
Maybe this is it.
Interesting. But you guys should get back onto your show. What are you guys talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about MetaConnect, the WGA agreement,
and the SAG negotiations started today.
SAG negotiations started. Yeah. Well, they have to because the writer is saying we're going to stay out until you start sorting it out with them too.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't got
Yeah.
the writers. We thought we at least had the writers to get them working now.
They stand in
We'll have
solidarity.
a pile
Yeah.
of food for them. Yeah.
Such a mistake for producers who are used to getting a very steady paycheck to try and play paycheck chicken with writers.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So the writers like, we'll just chill out and we got our deal. We'll just wait.
there's been a lot of interesting stuff coming out amongst SAG, particularly around really trying to kind of stick it to, yes, our emphasis is on AI right now, because
Yeah.
like I mean, I just saw a video, I think last week, of a dude who was playing with an app who was speaking into his camera in English. He basically clicked the button, it translated him into Spanish, and then it also like
Changed his mouth.
Yeah.
re-rendered his mouth to lip sync.
I have that app
But-
open on my page right now.
It's kind of
Higley, yeah.
phenomenal.
So I can just quit Duolingo.
It's called Hey Jen.
I mean, pretty
Hey
much,
Jen.
yeah. I mean, like, this is how the
what?
Klingons, can
The
like use
universal
universal translator.
Yeah.
And
It's called what now?
like that basically retcons everything. Like, oh, okay, that's how.
It's
That's why
called
they-
Hey Jen.
Yeah,
Like
It-
HYGEN.
and it looks pretty seamless. I
It's
gotta say.
amazing. It is amazing.
I would like to see a translation into English, because of course I'm sure there's nuance I'm not hearing because I don't.
I met one of the engineers
Spanish, but-
that helped create it. And it's
Oh, no
like,
way.
this is very impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive. There's so many different apps out there that do all kinds of amazing things. It's like, wow, we are not ready for this.
And it is moving so damn fast.
They make an
It
app
is.
that lets you look at another screen, but makes it look like you're looking at another screen, but makes it look like you're facing the camera.
Wait, what?
Like when you're at work and you're doing something else, I'm assuming, and so you can look at one camera, but you're looking at something else. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I think so. It's cut off by like the emoji thing. It's in NVIDIA cards. That's in
Yeah.
NVIDIA cards.
Yeah,
It just corrects your eye line.
Yeah, it's
Huh.
an
Right,
NVIDIA
so-
thing. You can look basically your eye line. It looks like
Or
you
for
look at it once in a while.
teleprompting.
Yeah, exactly for teleprompting. So it doesn't look
Or
like
if
you're
I'm at
reading
work.
something. Yeah.
Or
Oh,
if I'm
yeah,
at
or
work and I'm multitasking, I can pretend
Yeah.
like I'm paying attention on the Zoom call, and
Yeah.
I'm really not.
There's a lot of crazy stuff out there.
There's a lot of crazy
Yeah.
stuff out there.
And
Are
so,
we
yeah.
live on Twitch right now too?
I'm willing to bet
Yes.
that,
Yes.
that like
Yeah.
several of the people who came up with that app went to Catholic school.
For sure.
Anyways, so if you want to hear about that and more, stick around for Geek Beast. They're gonna continue on with that. But of course, we are the Pod Squadron. Come back next week. We're gonna cover episode 8 and kind of wrap up our coverage of Ahsoka a little bit here. Let's see here. Also, we want to see all of your Star Wars creations. Do you cosplay? Do you make fan films? Build droids? Build models? Sell stuff on Etsy. Show us how Star Wars has inspired you, and we just might feature you here on the show. Tell us how Ahsoka inspired you, if you have things that you specifically want to show us about that. Also, thank you for joining us here on the Geekish Network. Follow the Geekish Network on YouTube and Facebook, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for joining us here every Monday night, and check the schedules for all the other great shows on here throughout the week. And of course, stay tuned for Geek Beast. Thanks on the flight deck to Rodney, and we are the Pod Squadron. Please check out all of our content on podsquadron.com. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or not Twitter. Well, X, we're the thing. Whatever.
X Twitter. X Twitter.
Those things, yeah. And for podcast subscriptions, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. I'm the Chinese Pirate at Chinese Pirate _ on all platforms.
I'm Tracy, the hot nerd girl, on all the things. It's always a joy to watch you rattle through all that, Andy. Bless you.
Lexi Feral Geek, that website and Instagram and Facebook and yeah. Other than that, no, that's it right now. That's it right now. I might have professional mermaid stuff coming up soon, so fingers crossed for me.
There you go.
Hey.
Yes, and you can find me on Insta at Pics by Dayla.
And all wings return to base, course laid and prepared to make the jump to light speed on my mark. And remember, the truths we cling to depend on their own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. Good night.
Good night. Yay, virgins.
Go pee.